In a recent blog post, Bungie discussed upcoming changes to Destiny's 2 engine, changes whose main goal is to keep the engine running well into next-generation consoles and new content. Among all the exciting possibilities we've heard in the community, and from Bungie themselves, I think the time is right to revisit an idea we've discussed a few times here on this channel, namely adding depth to Destiny 2. Greetings, my excellent friends, and welcome to another Embrace Destiny video. Kaz PhD here. Today we're taking a look at depth in Destiny 2, and how to add more to the game, the experience, to continue making Destiny a world we want to return to. Now, before I continue, I'll just say two quick things. One, I'm not a game developer. I don't know anything, really, about games development, but I know about the player experience, and I am doing my best to represent my community and observations therein. Two, there are many other higher priority concerns and conversations that Destiny is having right now, things like anti-cheat, bugs, leveling system, etc., which are very important, but not what we're talking about today. While a potentially lower urgency and priority, I believe that depth in Destiny is needed for the longevity, the livelihood of the game's franchise. Depth in Destiny 2 refers to systems which bring players in, attract our attention, give us a sense of customization and accomplishment, and ultimately make the game feel more alive, us a more active participant in it, and keep players literally invested in Destiny. Over its lifetime, Destiny has gone back and forth on its content model. To be honest, I think Destiny broke so many molds, was so unique in so many ways, that it really didn't start to come into focus until year 3 of Destiny 1, or until Forsaken in Destiny 2. We've had the DLC-only model with droughts of content in the middle. We've had what I call the DLC Plus model, where smaller things like memory quests or new playlists extend the lifetime of content, such as Shadowkeep. And we've had the seasonal model. I think there are great things from all of these, but one problem persists: longevity, or rather a lack of it. The seasonal model provided an ongoing environment with more to do, but while it was refreshing at first, it became somewhat repetitive, and the changing of the seasons left many players asking, why bother? On paper, I think the seasonal model is much better than pure DLC, because while the content of an expansion is usually better, the DLC makes a big splash and then we get nothing for a long time. Destiny's greatest strength is also its greatest weakness, specifically the passion of our community. Our passion for the game keeps us coming back and building so many communities and content and enthusiasm around Destiny, helping make it a world we want to return to week after week. But it also means we become very aggressive and often run out of things to do. We are incredibly hungry for more in Destiny. We love this game. We race and grind and consume, and it is literally impossible for devs to keep up. As I said during the Season of Worthy, there are 3 ways to motivate players in Destiny 2, namely through the loot, the grind, and the story. Destiny as a looter shooter has always been focused on the first 2, and not only has that been absolutely necessary, I think it has gone over fairly well. Outside of some sandbox meta issues, the gunplay in Destiny is second to none. On top of that, the grind for gear, while sometimes repetitive or frustrating, has kept us coming back. The story, usually a less involved part of the main game, hidden in lore or stretched between seasons and cutscenes, also brings players in, but is not currently as actively designed to do so. And this is where I think the game needs to go deeper, to go further. At the end of the day, the loot and the grind have to be good. It forms the core of Destiny's experience, and without it, the game would be very different. So different, it might lose its identity and fragment its community. But I believe there is room to go into depth, and I believe the time has finally come for it. So, what do I mean? Well, let's look at how Destiny has used story to keep us invested so far. The lore is one way. Hidden secret writings, scrap of information, all separated by perspective, season, and source, have created a treasure hunt for those willing to participate. Lore enthusiasts excited to learn more and piece together the mystery of the universe will pour a lot of their time and attention into exploring the game. Not only is the writing top tier, full of incredible concepts, characters, twists, and turns, but the way that the lore is scattered leads to speculation, which leads to content creation, and a sense of wonder and accomplishment when it is finally pieced together. On a related note, let's look at the community challenges and puzzles. If you ever check out the Raid Secret subreddit, you'll see something similar. Players from all over the world obsessively scouting the game for codes, wishes, symbols, meaning. Often there's loot involved, sometimes in the game, as in the case of Bastion during the Season of Dawn's puzzle, or sometimes in real life, like the Javelin during Warmind. But often it's the story, not just the story in the game, but the story of the experience of putting it all together that keeps us coming back. The main story is another way, and one I will say has only gotten better. The gap between story and lore, between what is presented and what is hidden in the lore, can be very frustrating. But I am happy to see that the gap has gotten smaller. This season, Season of Arrivals, is a perfect example of that. Cutscenes, vignettes, and conversations with Eris by the Tree of Silver Wings, and dialogue between Eris and the Drifter during the Contact Public event and Prophecy Dungeon have really helped bring the main concepts and story to the forefront. We know what we are doing, what's at stake, and why we are doing it. We do the Contact Public event to learn more and slow the darkness. We do the Prophecy Dungeon to find out more about the darkness from the Nine. There are a few other smaller ways that I want to quickly mention. Weekly story missions, like the Memories questline in Shadowkeep, the Means to an End this season, or Invitation of the Nine quests during Season of the Drifter. These offer a great combination of loot, grind, and story that I really feel help the immersion and longevity of the game. Patrols, specifically the ones on the Moon and Dreaming City, also add to our story. On these destinations, our Guardians are taking an active role in helping people. We are learning about the world around us, and we are interacting more. Finally, character recognition in the game. In Destiny 1, Shaxx would give you a different nickname depending on the most recently made raid you had completed. Hive Bane, Godslayer, etc. Veteran dialogue in Destiny 2, and a memorial that acknowledges your past experience are other examples. We have some of this recognition in Destiny 2, though it is scattered. Everyone will usually call you by your class, the Awoken in the Dreaming City will call you Cousin if you play an Awoken, and some adventures will call you out on your class and your behavior. While small details for some, I believe that character recognition and activities like these patrols are some of the basis for the way forward. See, we all invest in our characters. We find shaders we like, armor that looks cool, weapons and roles that work for us, builds that allow us to do what we want to do, emblems, stats, and titles to show off what we have done. But in terms of what the game offers, that's about it. There is a small amount of recognition for us as the hero of the Red War or the Young Wolf, but at the end of the day, we are mostly just a monster killing machine, and even though my character may be built very differently from yours, we are still functionally the same. Like many parts of Destiny, some of the added depth and enthusiasm is carried on by the community itself. Art, writing, music, there are many players who have built a strong attachment to the game, the characters, and their guardians within it. This is why I believe Destiny is so special, because while its gunplay is great, and loot has a lot of excellent variety, Destiny inspires more than just a game, but a world, a community to live in. Bungie has said repeatedly that this is their goal, to make games to inspire communities, and the short version of this video is that I think we can do better here, go deeper, make the world feel more alive and personal, and keep us all invested without breaking the game, the bank, or the developers' backs while doing so. Let's start small, and from a place we've been before. Weekly story quests. This season, and in a few others before, we are tasked with doing the main public event, then a choice of different playlist activities, then a little mission with some dialogue and lore at the end. This, I think, is a perfect model. Yes, it could be annoying when the season is extended and the final mission isn't unlocked, and to many it may come across as repetitive. But it is an excellent way to take you around the game's activities through the week and satisfies all three means of motivating players, via pinnacle level loot, a decent grind that is both achievable and customizable, and delivers story. You are participating in the story and unfolding the mystery along with Eris. People have literally come back week after week to see the advancement of this quest. How corrupted has the Tree of Silver Wings become? How close are the pyramids? How much cargo has been evacuated to the tower? Destiny should have more of these. I don't know how difficult the process is for creating these missions, but quests like this keep the world and experience fresh, and continue to build story momentum during dry spells in the game. Have these lead up to a new season, or extend the plot from a DLC. These keep people coming back week after week, and hopefully are easier to develop than big story missions and DLC content. Sure, dialogue, motion capping may be expensive, but you can cut back on these. The main point here is that these missions appear new, but actually reuse a lot of Destiny's material. The main part of the quest is to do activities you've already done, but with new purpose. While we all get tired of strikes that don't change, doing so for a different reason, whether it be ritual gear or story beats, is one semi-low effort way to keep things fresh. Patrols are another version of this. Probably lower budget than the previous, but still a decent amount of work involving research, writing, and voice acting. Again, I understand why these don't get updated, but if people knew there was secret dialogue that you could unlock that may speak of a future season, people would race to do patrols. There's a triumph for doing 25 such patrols in the Dreaming City, and I loved it. Each patrol told a different story about the people, history, and culture of the world, and I didn't even notice or care if I was awarded any loot from it. Sure, not everyone plays the game with the same priorities as I do, but being able to actually explore the game and the world within it has value. If those ideas are proving a little too costly to develop, I suggest finding a way to work toward the same goal, but at a lower scale. The Exodus mission this season, in terms of development effort, seemed to revolve around plotting out the order of content and the writing that accompanied each character's story. Again, I'm not a developer, but from my perspective, it was like the weekly story missions, but without dialogue and motion capping. More of these, which allowed us to pursue other activities while giving us gear or a story to chase, should be considered and developed further. Involving more of the characters could be a good way to go. When was the last time we heard from Spider? What about Petra? With Bungie vaulting planets and NPCs, I am hoping that we are able to get new life and depth out of the characters we do have, and one way I see that working is by having them request our help to investigate the world. The seasonal model has allowed specific characters to be in the spotlight and develop further and remain relevant, but it is truly a spotlight, with many characters left in the cold. Hawthorne hasn't said anything new since the Red War, and Ikora, well, poor Ikora. Now, all the stuff I've described above, even at its best, would likely get repetitive. As a looter-shooter, Destiny sometimes feels limited in how we can interact with the world. Shoot that, stand there, throw that ball, collect X. We literally look through the world through the lens of our guns, and doing bounties, aka chores, is the main way we are able to interact with the world. One way to fix that is to alter mechanics slightly, as we have seen in the past. During one of our winter events, The Dawning, snowballs appeared in the tower, on the farm, and in strikes. It was really fun to throw them around, and it made those activities interesting again. During Season of Worthy, we could summon javelins and mechs in lost sectors and bunkers, and while that season came across pretty repetitive, it was refreshing for a while. I was hoping we'd get javelins and mechs showing up in strikes and Gambit, but that may be a tall order for just a season. Still, as we know seasonal content is going to stick around a little longer this coming year in Destiny, perhaps there's an opportunity there to have seasonal elements persist and shake up the world. Another way to encourage player immersion is through character recognition. Currently, Guardians are recognized by their class and through showing off emblems, armor, and weapons we have earned. A solid foundation, but I think the role-playing nature of the game could step it up a notch. Back during Season of the Drifter, my main character, my Titan, sided with the Vanguard, not trusting the Drifter. He has since learned that the Drifter, while devious, is just trying to survive in a scary world and wants to expand our perspective. The Drifter still calls me a snitch, but we've worked together long enough for me to know he has some good points, and for him to trust me to do what is right. I play my character, very likely, much differently than you do. Are you a PvP-focused player? A raider? Lore enthusiast? Have you put any character into your character? Do you feel your Guardian is kind-hearted or ruthless, inquisitive or direct? At the very least, the game can and should move toward recognizing us for our accomplishments. If you approach Shaxx wearing your Unbroken title, he should lose his mind with enthusiasm. If you approach Zavala with Conqueror, he should call you out on your devotion to protecting humanity from the most dangerous of enemies. Recognizing our characters' accomplishments will help us feel more pride, more worth, and incentivize us to pursue these challenges. For the less character and more loot-driven players, you can add other things like increased tokens, drops, experience bumps. There are plenty of ways to push loot and story as a reward for our grind. On a related note, we know that we will be getting Ghosts 2.0 in Beyond Light. We can level up our ghosts and find mods to slot in which help with experience and finding materials. I hope that these mods can be found in a variety of activities and drop as a reward for related efforts. For example, before hearing of Ghosts 2.0, I thought it would be great if doing a single patrol on a world gave you resource scanner for the week on that planet, as if your ghosts were connected to and fixed the network, and recognized you for your effort. I have said before that flashpoints should be a much more interesting experience. They represent the enemy making advancements on our territory, on a renewed wish to explore and gather intel on a location. But as it is, once you no longer need powerful loot, they're basically useless. I don't even feel very appreciated by the NPC for doing it, but maybe I've just done them too many times. Finally, RPG systems and long-term goals. As I said earlier, the main ways the Guardians interact with the world are through the barrel of a gun, or standing on a plate, or throwing a ball. Our main goals in the game are advance the story, earn the loot we want, level up, and pursue titles, challenges, triumphs in the endgame. While good, I believe that Destiny will ultimately be limited if it doesn't lean into RPG elements. Destiny is more than a game to a lot of people, and even as just a game, it's a game set with an amazing backdrop of story and characters. Yet it is hard to actually feel like part of that universe. We are Guardians, but we rarely interact with people. While our accomplishments serve to protect humanity, I rarely feel like I am recognized for that. Granted, I'm not exactly asking for a parade, though that would be nice, but when I fight a faraway threat, I'd come back to the tower only to have maybe one line of dialogue come up once, or a million times if we're talking about taking out Gaul. I feel like our accomplishments are underappreciated. Destiny 2's tower is more alive than Destiny 1's, with the exception of tower announcements, which were pretty fun, but the people in the new tower may as well be birds for the level of interaction we get. How great would it be to have a dance-off with a crowd in the courtyard, or drop some glimmer in the ramen shop buying a round inspiring cheers from civilians? What if we could use our light to help people more directly? Escort patrols, defending NPC locations, lighting campfires with solar energy, or jumping a motor with arc. Helping people in the wild. You know, being a guardian. What if, maybe if and when we make some fallen allies, what if we too could go to the empty tank Lost Sector bar like Cade did? Hear some rumors, challenge an Elixni to an arm wrestling match? What if? What if we had clan halls or extra customization on our ships? What if doing little side quests for civilians gave us movement buffs and loot finders in patrol zones? What if we had to work to earn civilians' approval, or at least respect, for more experience? What if we could hang our clan banner in more places? The clan banner is designed with in-game assets, and having the option to fly our banner every time we drop a raid banner, or be the first to rally a flag in a public event, would allow us to feel more represented in the game. For those long-term Destiny players, one solution is likely obvious. Maybe you're shouting it right now. The factions. In Destiny 2, factions were only really important during faction rallies, short one-week events where we could compete for loot in the favor of New Monarchy, Dead Orbit, or Future War Cult. However, after several iterations, Bungie removed the factions, and has actually stated that they're not sure if/when they'll ever come back, because of the high cost-to-benefit ratio. However, in Destiny 1, factions were different. Simply, they were a vendor, one you pledged loyalty to, and every activity you completed earned reputation toward that faction. In the end, it was mostly just a quest for loot, but each vendor did offer unique gear and a few unique quests if your reputation with them was high enough. This kind of system needs to return, and be developed further. Like much of Destiny, factions represent story told through grind and loot. At the very least, They were a way to keep players invested, coming back, and if you add a splash of story now and then, well, Guardians could form a deeper connection. As always, this could go even further, developing text and dialogue for the factions, different perspectives, ways of looking at things. Perhaps each faction has different priorities in terms of types of missions or even planets. Dead Orbit wants you to explore farther away. New Monarchy wants you protecting Earth. There are ways you can develop the story behind these central characters and their ideologies further, which would give us Guardians a stronger sense of community within the game and to better understanding the politics and struggle of its characters. Recent lore has shown just how separate Guardians are from the people of the last city, and I don't know about you, but I would give quite a lot if I could actually go there, interact with them, help them, do quests with them and for them. And even if you're not really so interested, I think many of us would gladly pay with our time and maybe our money for more depth of mechanics and skills, depth of character customization, beards and long hair, anyone? And depth of story in a universe so full of mystery. Lots of ideas here, and many of them may be well beyond what we ever see in Destiny. My aim often exceeds the reach, but the point I'm making is that we love Destiny, and while we never want to take away from the resources that go into the looting and shooting aspects of the game, I do think that Destiny's universe and its passionate community are ready for more characterization, more depth, to really motivate us to play, be connected, and return to this world. What do you think? Do any of these ideas interest you? Would you pursue such goals? Or am I thinking too hard or asking way too much? I'm excited for the direction Beyond Light seems to be taking. The aspect fragment system for stasis looks like a mechanics-focused way of pushing the RPG aspect further, and I'm excited to see where this goes. Be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you're interested in more of these ideas, I've got a playlist on improving Destiny's immersion, which you may enjoy. If you'd like to have these conversations live, my Twitch is down below. And for those seeking more lore videos, I should be pivoting back to that subject very soon. As always, thank you all very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Be safe, be kind, and I'll see you all next time, Guardians. Bye now.